Yo, what's up, ESO community? Coming back with another video for a Werewolf PvP build known as the Shapeshifter. Not really much has changed other than probably class race, but really technically you can use this set up on any race class combo. It doesn't really matter. It works the same pretty much on all of them. But basically I'm going to go over the build and show you all what I'm working with here. So let's go ahead and get to it. So the foods that I'd always recommend is bewitched skulls. Now there is some sugar. There's some recovery foods you can run as well, or drinks, but I just find the full tri-stat ones to always be better. Packaged bone broth could be an option, but not really recommended. Tri-stats, detect pots, and movables, any potion like that would be fine on a werewolf. Just make sure that you are able to sustain with it, because this is a big part of your sustain from your CP. Alright, so the first set's going to be Titanborn. Titanborn gives you penetration, weapon damage, max stam, adds weapon damage, and offensive penetration while in combat. This bonus doubles when you're under 75% health and quadruples when you're under 50% health. So the lower your health gets, the more damage you potentially do. So for the traits is Nern and Sharpen Offhand. The weapon types don't really matter, but they matter more so in your normal form than they do in your werewolf form. The traits matter though, so your enchantments also would carry over too. So I have one flame for that against those nasty vampires, and also a nice little burning effect. And then I have the shock enchant, which will increase my DPS a little bit more. And then I have an my back bar is a Titanborn Greatsword, sharpened with a shock enchant. Depending on the situation, I'll either transform on the dual wield or I'll transform on the two-hander. But really it's just preference. So the second set's going to be Wretched. This is an obvious set. We're going to have a lot of sustain, mag, stam recovery, weapon damage, and while in combat, apply a major buff or debuff to a target grants you magicka and stam recovery for 15 seconds. While in combat, applying a minor buff or debuff is going to give you 130 magicka and stam recovery. Now, keep in mind, alternatives to this would be like Eternal Vigor, or any just good recovery set. We are using a heavy armor build. Well, 5 heavy, 1 light, 1 medium. But you can really run anything you want. You could run a Damahos shoulder, you could run a Crag shoulder, you could run a weapon damage, 1-piece shoulder. Anything that you want, it's your preference. I recommend to do tri-stat on all your pieces and do divines. It's okay if you have like one trait missing, but if you want to get the maximum benefits, you want to do full divine so you get the max DPS out of it. Now, mythic items I recommend, I have the Shapeshifter for this one. Shapeshifter is really good on this build because I already have recovery and damage, but that cost reduction in my werewolf form really does benefit. And then it also gives you like a tri-stat effect as well. Max health, stamina, and magicka. Which really does pay off, guys. It's pretty good. So you want to do infused or bloodthirsty, or really any trait you want. It's not going to matter that much, but it's up to you guys. Other mythics you can use is like Sithis. Sithis is going to make you a little bit tankier, more health, more health recovery, but less like max sustain. So keep in mind on that. And then, yeah, that's pretty much on the sets. Class doesn't really matter that much, but I just chose a Sork because it was pretty easy to play on this end. The way I have it is I have a Hurricane. This will just give you a buff, armor buff, and some speed. Race against time. It makes you immune to snares and stuff. Dark Deal, Crystal Weapon, Vigor, and then Werewolf. Back bar, Dizzy Swing, Crit Surge, which you don't have to run this. I just have it there because it gives me crit heals. You can put like Streak or really anything you want here. You can just set up any way you want. Carve, Executioner, and then Rally. Sork is really nice because it's going to give you a lot of sustain and damage passives. You get mag recovery, you get physical and shock damage, you get amplitude. So this is 3 damage, 2 damage CPs here. I mean not CPs, but passives. And then 1 recovery passive, and then you get cost reduction as well to your ultimate and to your abilities as well. So, and then you have another sustain one. So if you're blocking, your next attack will cost 15% less. Your next ability will cost 15% less. So take that into consideration. We are an orc. The reason I chose orc is because they're very fast, they have weapon damage, and they also heal when they do damage. And then, yeah, and their sprint is reduced as well. Cost is reduced, and their speed is faster, so they definitely help you out in that. CP, really could be anything you want. I always run Foresight on Werewolf. It's a must. Master at Arms, Deadly Aim, and Endless Endurance gives you more back stamina. So I want to be able to spam a little bit more howls on people. For red, I go Balanced Vitality, Sustained by Suffering, Pain Refuge, and Celerity for the extra movement speed. Sustained by Suffering for recovery, Pain's Refuge to reduce damage done to me, and then Balanced Vitality for more health. Mundus Stone is going to be the Warrior. I just wanted to have a little bit more base damage instead of pen, but you can run the Lover as well. Really, you can run any Mundus Stone you want. It's not going to play a huge factor. I went 64 stam on this build instead of health because I wanted to push out more pressure. So I went with the 64 stam instead. Race, though, like I said, I'm an orc, but you could be pretty much any stam race or really any race you want. It's not going to make a huge difference, but it can be noticeable sometimes. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and go over the werewolf skills real quick. So we have Pack Leader. This is just probably the morph to run by yourself. This will be more of like a small skill or a dueling solo spec. So Pack Leader, this is going to give you minor courage, and it's also going to give you a little bit tankier, and you spawn 2 dire wolves as well. The Black Wolf is going to give you more bleeds, but less timer, and splash heavy attack. So, and then you got Brutal Pounce, so this will be the ability that you're going to use because you can stack good damage with this as well. So if you leap on people, this is going to increase your DPS. Herstein's Fortitude, you'll use this. This is going to be your main heal, and you just use this when you need to get your health back. And then you have Deafening Roar, which reduces the enemy's resistances and also puts minor maim, which means they'll do a little bit less damage to you. And then you could fear like 6 enemies, and then you knock them off balance. If we look at my Howl of Agony, it's really high on this spec, which you can see. That's why I went with the stamina. So it's 64 stam. It literally boosted up my Howl of Agony to 17.5. And then my claws are 19.8. And then an actual attack is almost 12k. Now, your Howl of Agony is going to hit really hard. This is your main spammable. So keep in mind that's the ability that you want to use the most. Combinations with the claws and the pounce as well, and also your heavy attacks. But you can see that it basically reduces the cost of my abilities by a good amount. Shapeshifter Chain is a really good mythic. It's a mythic that I recommend for any werewolf player. You could pretty much put it on any wolf build and be okay with it. So keep in mind. Alright, so that's pretty much it on the abilities and all that. The morphs that I recommend for this spec, but I'm going to go ahead and show you guys real quick in what I do with this build. So let's look at we're going to look at the wolf stats real quick. Now this is what the stats would look like unbuffed. Okay, These are unbuffed stats. So let's go to over here, and then we'll buff ourselves up. And then also we'll give you kind of an idea what I'm aiming for. Alright. Using foresight, so I popped the potion, which you can see that my heal is a lot cheaper now for 6 seconds. But yeah, let's see what the stats look like now. So this is what it looks like when you're fully buffed. Now the armor isn't too high. If you want more armor, you're just gonna slot fortified, and then you could probably run Sithis. But you'll lose the Shapeshifter chain, so keep in mind. But that's pretty much it. That's what I wanted to show you guys. But anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed this patch's Shapeshifter build. Alright, peace.